So today, we're going to dive into one of the most intense moments of decision you can imagine, a story about incredible courage that comes from a truly terrifying choice. We're talking about Queen Esther and the moment she was made for.
This whole story really boils down to one simple but heavy question. What's the price of silence? When you see something terrible happening, is staying quiet just about saving yourself? Or does it end up costing you everything?
Right, so our story kicks off not in the palace, but out in the streets. A royal decree has just been sent out, and it's not just some new law, it's an order to wipe out an entire people. The reaction is exactly what you'd expect. The whole kingdom is just plunged into despair.
And I want you to picture this. This isn't some quiet, private grief. A man named Mordecai literally tears his clothes apart and walks through the city wailing his heart out. It's such an extreme display of sorrow that he's actually banned from even getting close to the king's gate. And it's not just him. This is happening everywhere. In every single province, the Jewish people are fasting, weeping. It's a nation that has been brought to its knees. And this is where you see this crazy disconnect. While her people are out there facing this existential threat, Queen Esther is safe, or so she thinks, behind the palace walls. She hears that Mordecai is upset, but she has no idea why. She's distressed, for sure, but it's the kind of concern you have when you're completely cut off from the real problem. So her first instinct is to try and fix the surface-level problem. She sees him in torn clothes, so she sends him a new set. But of course, he refuses. This isn't about clothes. It's about a crisis she can't even begin to imagine yet. It's only when her simple fix fails that she realizes something is seriously wrong, and she sends an attendant to get the real story. And bam! With that one message, the palace walls might as well have turned to dust. The crisis comes crashing in, and suddenly Esther is staring down a horrible truth that puts her own life directly on the line. She's trapped in a deadly dilemma. So Mordecai does not mess around. He sends back the full, horrifying picture. He reveals the exact amount of silver that was promised to carry out this genocide, a chilling, businesslike detail. He even sends a physical copy of the death warrant. And then comes the command. You have to go to the king. You have to beg for mercy. You have to plead for our people. He's forcing her to face who she is and what's at stake. But you have to understand what Mordecai is asking, it's basically a suicide mission. There's this one law in the kingdom, and everybody knows it. It's absolute. If you approach the king without being called, the penalty is death. That's it. No exceptions, no trial. Well, okay, there is one exception, one tiny little sliver of hope. If the king, for whatever reason, maybe he's in a good mood, decides to hold out his golden scepter to you, your life is spared. But that decision is completely and totally up to him. And this is the detail that just ramps up the tension to a whole new level. It's been 30 days, a full month, since the king has even asked to see her. In the world of royal politics, that is a very, very bad sign. She has absolutely no reason to think he's going to be happy to see her. So this is it. This is her impossible choice, laid out plain and simple. She can go to the king, breaking the law and risking instant execution, or she can do nothing, follow the rules, and just wait for the inevitable day when the edict is carried out and she dies with the rest of her people. Both paths seem to lead to death. Esther sends this message back to Mordecai, basically saying, "What am I supposed to do? It's impossible." But he is having none of it. He refuses to accept her fear as an excuse, and his response is a challenge that completely reframes her entire life. First, he just completely shatters any illusion of safety she might have. He says, "Don't for a second think that being in the palace will save you. When they come for us, they're coming for you too. Her fate and their fate are one and the same." And then he says something that is just so powerful. He tells her that if she chooses to do nothing, help will still come. He has this profound faith that the Jewish people will be saved somehow. Their destiny isn't resting only on her shoulders. But, and this is a huge but, there's a personal consequence for her. He warns her that even if the people are saved, her silence will mean the end of her and her family. She will be erased. Inaction has its own fatal cost. And then he hits her with the line, the one that changes absolutely everything. He basically says, "Have you ever stopped to think that maybe your whole life has led to this? That becoming queen wasn't just luck? That you were put in this exact spot for this exact moment?"
And wow, that one question, it just flips a switch. The fear is still there, I'm sure, but it's suddenly smaller than this new, massive sense of purpose. And in this incredible moment, the hesitant queen becomes a commander.
So she doesn't send back a maybe or an I'm scared. She sends back a plan, a command, actually. She tells Mordecai to gather every Jew in the city and to fast for her for 3 days. She and her attendants will do the same. And then she says it plainly, I will go to the king, even though it's against the law.
And she finishes with these 5 unforgettable words. And if I perish, I perish. It's just total acceptance. She has looked at both terrifying options and chosen the one with purpose, fully understanding it could be the last thing she ever does.
You know, this is the moment she stops just being a queen and starts being Queen Esther. She's no longer hiding, she's embracing her identity, her people, and her destiny. The price of silence was certain destruction. The price of speaking might be her life, but it's a price she's now willing to pay. And that really brings Mordecai's question right back to us, doesn't it? It's a question we all have to think about in our own lives, in our own ways. What moment, what challenge, what such a time as this were you made for?